In every house, Ozone, and we all need the support and guidance of a trusted friend. Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home has been your dedicated friend. And now, for your convenience and added financial ease, we introduce specially designed complete funeral packages from as low as $5,500. Same professional quality services, but now greater choices at the lowest possible prices. As you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest, visit Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. Conditions apply. Serving you from locations in St. George's, Grenville, and Carriacou. Call us at 440-2302 any time of day. Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home, continuing a tradition of excellence.
M&M Hardware Limited, Hope St. Andrew and Dusty Highway, St. George. Shop conveniently for all your building materials including plumbing, electrical, lumber, cement, steel and much more. We manufacture roofing sheets available in 11 colors, aluminum windows, doors, insect screens and hurricane shutters. Installation services are available for all our manufactured products. Our opening hours are Monday to Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturdays 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. M&M Hardware Limited. Come on in and experience our affordable prices, or call us 444-6757 or 440-6757 Dusty Highway. Email us at info@mahonhardware.com or mnmdusty@mahonhardware.com. M&M Hardware, foundation to roof. Let's build together.
The first word when you speak about furniture is classic. Yes, at Classic Furniture, they design and make the best in local furniture. All their products are made from the finest local wood available on island. You think it, they design it and make it to your expectations. The highest standards at the best possible price, and they also provide higher purchase for you, their valued customers. Located on Ben Jones Street in Grenville, with their factory at Chantemelle in St. Patrick. That's where you need to visit when looking for products made of the finest local wood. They deliver and install items at no extra cost. Your satisfaction is their mission. The extra step is taken to ensure their customers are completely satisfied. They do doors and finished kitchens, supplies mattresses, and restores antique pieces to look like the first day they were made. Hey, give us a call on 442-4645 and 442-9726. Classic Furniture, Grenada's homegrown furniture producers.
Alright, partner, me and sitting on home. I go in and walk my land. I ain't care because I alone. You must inspect, I go cut out the hand. I'm planting me nutmeg and banana. I'm planting right down to Tanya. And I know when I reap my crop, my pocket will be always fat. So when you see me in the cold mountain, what I'm planting, nutmeg and banana. When I used to look at last year, they said that I'm dying. I'm planting cassava. Riding a donkey when my bottom bruised. I exchange and I walk it up without shoes, this is bad. That is agriculture. In the soil, and I'm planting in style.
Good morning to you. Drumsticks?
Hello, good morning.
Talk to me, love.
Hi there.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning to you. Good morning to the nation. I'm reading from the Word of God, John chapter 3, verses 14. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but by the word through him might be saved. This is the end of the scripture reading.
And thank you so very much. And how was your night?
Yes, have a good night. And I'll listen to you last night.
You listen. Oh, yes, I was on for a minute with the guys in gospel.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I didn't know that you pray with other programs too, Drumstick.
Yes, I was calling when every Wednesday night I listen to my
well, I didn't
thing,
know.
you know.
I didn't know that at all.
Yes, I was calling and say what I have to say. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's nice. That's really nice. Nice. Mm-hmm. And but I'm kind of jealous because I thought it was me alone. But
no, I was calling I get myself link up with Sharon and them too because she told me about what they was doing.
Which one is Sharon?
I put in whatever I have to.
Which is Sharon? Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, dear heart. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day.
You too. You have a nice day.
Girls!
They're going to leave me back and they're not going already.
Okay,
then. Rain falling up here.
Okay, take care.
Yeah, you.
All right, bye-bye.
Mm-hmm. Right, bye.
23 minutes after the hour, ain't it? Mm-hmm.
When me bought and bruised, I exchanged and walking up without shoes. Alright, partner me and sitting on home. I go in and walk my land. I ain't care because I alone. You must inspect, I go cut out the hand. I'm planting me nutmeg and banana. I'm planting right down to Tanya. And I know when I rip my crop, my pocket will be always fat. So when you see me in the cold mountain, what I'm planting, nutmeg and banana. I'm planting cassava. Riding a donkey when my boat and bruise. I exchanging, I walking up without shoes.
As we move along in the morning time, it's that a favorite time of ours again when we make contact with the folks at the Morris Bishop International Airport Meteorological Office. This morning, Cassia with a K is representing the Met Office. Good morning, Cassia with a K.
Good morning to you and good morning to the listeners. Here is the weather for today, Thursday, 27th January 2022. Presently at the airport, conditions are cloudy with showers. Winds are from the east at 10 miles per hour. Pressure 1013.6 millibars, which is above normal and rising. Present temperature 22.9 degrees Celsius. Relative humidity 92%. Yesterday's maximum temperature was 29.9 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature last night 22.9 degrees Celsius. Over the past 24 hours, there was only a trace of rainfall at the airport. Hence, the total for the month remains at 35.2 millimeters. Looking at the public forecast, valid for today and tonight, the weather is expected to be partly cloudy and breezy, becoming cloudy at times with the occasional light to moderate showers, improving overnight. Today's maximum temperature 30.0 degrees Celsius. Winds east-northeasterly to easterly at 14 to 24 miles per hour. Seas slight to moderate, waves 3 to 5 feet in open waters. Tides are currently falling and will be low at 8:45 a.m., high at 1 p.m. Sunset today 6:07, sunrise tomorrow 6:33. Again, the weather is expected to be partly cloudy and breezy, becoming cloudy at times with the occasional light to moderate showers, improving overnight. From the Met Office, I am Cassia Johnson.
And thank you very much, Cassia. Do have yourself a pleasant day.
Thank you, same to you.
Okay, bye-bye. Cassia Johnson at the Morris Bishop International Airport. Cassia with a K, yeah. 25 minutes now after the 7 o'clock hour. It's Thursday today, yeah. Ain't it? Mm-hmm. Agriculture today, and yeah, it seems like I'm just hitting some snatches. These are some snags these days, man. Yeah. Still wasn't able to reach out to my agricultural guy. Well, reached out, didn't get the person, the agricultural officer in, minister in St. Vincent. So I'll try again, not St. Vincent, sorry, Dominica. I'll try again and see if we can have him for next week, God's willing. And JD, well, I sent him some messages this morning. Yeah, I sent him some messages because, you know, I visit and I call and there's no reply. So I sent him some messages. Let me check and see if there was any reply. Oh, none yet. Dun. Looking. Oh, there's no reply from him yet. And what else am I seeing here? Okay. All right. So, get down on it. Get on it. Get down on it if you really need it. Get down on it. Lucille Pascal, Nelsia Peters, Landon Jane Errol Bonaparte, Vanessa Lalji, Joanne Francis, Sunset City, good morning. And Tamika Moses, Betty Matura. Good morning to you, Betty. Now, I like this one by Livingston Lewis. Now, Livingston Lewis is saying that I'm a farmer, but I can do with some politics this morning. Well, you better stay there with your politics, Livingston. What's wrong with you, man? Tell me what you want in terms of politics. I know I didn't plan anything for politics today, Bridget. You know that, yeah? Today's, well, you can twin the agriculture and the politics here, but Kenneth Joseph, how are you doing? Good morning to you. Roland McDonald. Roland, I haven't heard you for a couple of days. Something's wrong. Yeah, you can intermingle the politics and the agriculture, but I had no plans of doing such this morning. So I probably need to do some reorganizing. It's a new year, so probably I really need to do some reorganizing. It's beginning to, I almost said it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. No, it's beginning to be very challenging. Yeah. And what can one do but look to see what one can do?
No.
Oh, hold on. I didn't ask you to play a commercial, computer. What's wrong with you? I don't want to hear commercial as it. I want to hear this. Ventures, good morning. Ann Harvey, how are you doing?
Alright, partner, me and sitting on home. I go in and walk my land. I ain't care because I alone. You must inspect, I go cut out the hand. I'm planting in nutmeg and banana. I'm planting right down to Tanya. And I know when I rip my crop, my pocket will be always fat. So when you see me in the cold mountain, when I'm planting nutmeg and banana, when I used to make the plus, they say that I'm dying. I'm planting cassava, riding a donkey when my butt and bruise. I exchange and I walk it up without shoes, listen, but that is agriculture. I dig in the soil and I'm planting in style. Some people protecting the fingernail from ever since they were small. Some of them rather go in jail. They ain't planting one fig tree at all. Mommy, I care if I lost my girlfriend. Listen what I say, some of them. He working too hard, itchy and tough. I want them making the hand too rough. Mommy, I can't see me in the cold mountain when I planted.
Okay, we've got a caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Next week, you sing, eh?
What was that again?
You forget already what happened.
Yeah, I don't have a very good memory.
Okay. when I come, you go see.
Oh, okay.
But the pig sale going slow, man.
The peas sale going slow?
Yeah, I just see people come and buy peas.
So what's wrong?
Like we don't eating again.
Or maybe they don't have enough of that disposable income. Maybe they're spending it on other things.
You think so?
Or maybe the peas too expensive.
All the restaurants in Saturdays, what happened?
Well, I don't know. That one I could not help you with. What I do know is that we do not, one of our problems is that we do not use enough of our local produce. I know that for a fact.
And then we say we don't want nothing.
And then when you speak to the fact that the peas is not selling, then it confirms what I think. You see, a lot of people, they buy, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, the split peas, the lentil peas, whatever, that they figure, okay, fine, that is always available, and that probably is, throw it in the pot and you're ready. And maybe it has to do too with the cost.
Well, I don't find it's expensive.
I'm not saying it is expensive, but I'm saying maybe it has to do with the cost.
Well, probably.
Yeah, because how much for a pound of lentil peas?
I really can see. About 4 something or 5 something.
Right. Well, yeah, but a pound of pigeon peas or peas is about what, $10?
Yeah.
Right. So that could be a bit of a bother there, because somebody will be thinking that if they buy a pound of lentil peas, they can cook half now and half another time, and that's like a lot less expensive and could stretch a little bit more than the pigeon peas can stretch. All those things, are taken into consideration in relation to the sale of peas. It's not the best thing, but hey, we have to find ways to deal with it. I wonder how. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I can't help you there at all because I want the peas sale. I don't like dry peas.
Oh, okay.
And I don't like to see them dry on the tree. And
Okay.
right now, I see these days are kind of in song. So it's kind of difficult for me to pick the green peas.
Oh.
And they coming in now and,
Well, maybe you need to get some people to pick and some people to shell it.
they will go steal my peas, boy. When I go up in the bushes, me alone want to be there,
Okay.
The fellas, they go in bag, You see, they come in to work with bag. And they go in all this thing. Well, anyway, take care.
All right,
Good
then.
talk.
Be
So
good.
I want time next week, I believe.
All right,
What time
then.
next
Take
week?
care of
What time?
yourself. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, be good.
Right, good.
Okay.
And when you see me in the cold mountain, what I planting? Nutmeg and banana. Data. Okay, but let me let you know that I have, with all of this, didn't have the Minister of Agriculture from out of Dominica, but this morning we'll be having a conversation at around 8 o'clock, I think. Let me do some and double check here. Yeah, this morning at 8 o'clock. The Chief Agricultural Officer, Trevor Thompson, will be talking to us about drought and precipitation outlook for Grenada and the Caribbean. So you can find out how you can plant, what you can plant, land management practices, and other important information right here. That will start with Thompson round about the 8 o'clock hour this morning. So, yeah, so even if I didn't get somebody, we still have somebody, all right? And, yeah, so that'd be that for agriculture. Our time is at what, 26 minutes? Yeah, 26 minutes before the 8 o'clock hour.
Digging the soil and I'm planting in style. Whoa, mama.
There's a question posed by you, Barthy Atlanta. I don't understand your question. And just let me let you folks know this. Now, you post one-word questions or two-word questions, and you have to understand that I'm reading messages from my personal WhatsApp, from the WhatsApp on for the station, and reading messages online. So, and I'm speaking at the same time. I'm just giving you an idea what happens here, okay? And I'm speaking at the same time. So when I see your message, it may be in reference to something that I would have said 2-3 minutes ago. So I don't, and I really wouldn't know. So you need to, I'm just saying this, that you need to write your message or your question in detail so I get to understand, because it is not regular, like regular WhatsApp where we chatting and you can ask this sort of thing. So it's like instant. No, it doesn't work that way. By the time I see your message, maybe 2 or 3 minutes gone, and I'm wondering, well, what are you talking about? Well, I still don't understand what happened, and in reference to the forwarded message. I'm still up the creek without a paddle in relation. Oh, I answered. Oh, so you see, I answered the question and didn't even know that I answered the question. That's how life is, and that's how the thing is. So you have to understand how I'm trying to get you to understand how radio kind of works, and then especially if you're listening on a device, if you're not listening to terrestrial radio, which is like the regular radio, if you're not listening to the regular radio and you're listening to us via TuneIn or via YouTube or via Facebook or whatever, remember that what you're hearing is not in real time. It's going to be a couple of seconds late. It could run to as much as 30 seconds late. In some places, based on where you are in the world, it could be a minute late. So if you hear what I say a minute after I would have said it, and then you send me a message, that's like 2 minutes later, and I'm wondering, well, what is that message all about? And I have to continue to talk and try to remember what I said. But if you spell it out, then I can do so, read it, and respond to you. Okay? Right, so we good. We understand each other there. So you need to spell them out. Okay, here's where we going now. Heaven sent Abdul Azim. Okay, Abdul, good morning. Good morning, Andre. The Southern Agricultural Office located at Piti Bakai will be closed today and tomorrow. Operations resume on Monday the 31st at the Lassages Agricultural Mission. Okay. I read that. But next time, Abdul, I'm happy for the information. But if we use one channel, it'll be better for a lot of us, because I don't really have a proof that you are sending me an authentic message. So I should have never read it in the first case, but I did. All right. So if we use one particular means to get information in, then it will be better for everybody. And in that way, I have a backup to say, okay, fine, I got it from that source. Reading it from you, Abdul, I mean, I'm very appreciative, and I believe that this is authentic. I just believe, I just have that feeling because I've never really met you, sir. But the thing is, somebody else could send me a message, just like how you sent it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that message is correct. So if we go through one channel and all the messages come from that particular channel, because there is a public relations department in the Ministry for Agriculture. So if we use that channel, and hey, don't feel bad about it, boss man. But if you use that channel, then we all know that, authentic information is coming from that particular channel. That is what we should use. Yes, I as I said, I appreciate the information that the Southern Agricultural Office located at Piti Bakai will be closed today and tomorrow. And but it says operations resume on the 31st at the Lassages Agricultural Mission. Now, if the office is located at Piti Bakai and be closed today and tomorrow, that's Thursday and Friday, operations resume, meaning operations of the office resume at the Lassages Agricultural Center. Now, Lassages and Piti Bakai is two different places. So I'm still a little bit baffled as to, is the office going to, whoa, you have me there. And I hope that you're listening and you kind of can try to clear this one up. Yeah. Or maybe I'm making a mountain of a molehill. You know that. I'm kind of used to that sometimes.
Walking up without shoes. That is agriculture. Oh, I'm digging the soil and I'm planting in style. Look out. Whoa, mama.
And Harvey, how you doing this morning? Roland McDonald. I'm not hearing you these days, bro. Like, you give me up. That's not good. That's not good at all. I can't understand that, bro. We don't operate like that. Not in this part of the world. No. We don't operate like that. Our conversation this morning with Mr. Thompson, to brief you folks, has to do with drought and rain outlook for the Caribbean. Now, these smart people, you know, these people who do all these graphs and plot all these things, and you know, they forget that they're sending the information for simple people like you and I to interpret. Precipitation outlook for the Caribbean. Well, just say rain now. But precipitation has to do with rain, doesn't it? Unless I'm kind of didn't go to school properly. There's that possibility, yeah? But precipitation outlook for the Caribbean, that sometimes bothers me when they use all these big words. And they know it's little Caribbean people that they're talking to. People who, yes, you need to bring people up to speed. I know that for a fact. But you don't just do so and jump them in class. You're skipping them in class. Boom. Not explaining to them that, hey, precipitation here means rain. All right? Anyway. So we'll be speaking about the prediction and outlook as issued by the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. As of that was done in December 2021, and the projection is up to February 2022. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm all right.
Okay, well, I want to talk about the office in Las Vegas and Pitibakai. I think the office moved to Las Vegas now.
Oh, the office has moved to Las Vegas.
In the process of moving, in fact. Yeah, by next week, so I think there will be full voltage of Las Vegas.
Okay. And you live where?
I live at Pomerose, Mount Agnes.
Oh, you live at Pomerose. Well, I want to thank you. I thank you so much for that clarification there. So now I understand that they are relocating, so they're moving from Pitibakai to Las Vegas Agricultural Mission.
All right, correct.
Ah, thank you, soldier.
So, all right, you're welcome.
All right, then, great. All right. So, let's read this again. Good morning, Andre. The Southern Agricultural Office located at Pitibakai will be closed today and tomorrow. Operations resume on Monday at the Las Vegas Agricultural Mission. So, yes, I had to have an issue. So, they're relocating. Need to speak to Mina about that. Good morning. Hello? Oh, let me see if I can find the Booker girl. Good morning. Good morning, Cammy.
Good morning, Mr. Donald. Good morning to you, guest.
I just
saying good morning. How you doing, sir?
Ade, how you doing?
Well, I just there, I sit down, watching the people moving, going to work. And we were just reasoning about the Prime Minister, me and a young lady. Yeah, and I said, well, let me give you a little call.
What about the Prime Minister now?
Well, we was talking of the goodness of his heart.
Okay.
You know, because she used to get a little help, and she said that was during the NDC time, and they had cut it. And she come to tell me she get $450. I think this last time there, and I didn't even know them people get 3.5. These people get all this money. So, you know, I was just telling her, well, look, you know, that is very good, so we must keep praying for him. Go ahead, Jason. A lot of people have nothing good to say, you know, and God don't like that. Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister, and good morning to Miss Smith, if you're wherever you are, and to everybody. And I want to talk about this man that talk about the marijuana, this NBC man. That man is a madman. Who do you think he could hold with that? When he come, Mr. Dictionary name. The little tin man that was the lawyer. If he tell himself he could fool Grenadians and say go legalize marijuana, when he coming for, that just talking about the election thing, joke you're making. Boy, Peter David was a man. I used to go in the courthouse and sit down just to see Peter and listen to him in the days of Miss Patricia Mack. And he send Grenadians, parents, children, when they hold them with marijuana. That is what the only lawyer I used to see. defending for people children. And I used to see that man passing, going in the courthouse, and I used to go there every day just to listen to the magistrate and the prosecutor and them, how they trying to. I never see that man represent not a young man or a young woman.
All right, I think we're back up. Good morning, Roger Hilaire. What's up, man? Everything good? Nice to see you checking in. Now, it was Livingston. Was it Livingston? Let me make sure. Livingston Lewis, you said you wanted a bit of politics with the agriculture this morning. I don't really like to mix the two all the time, but I give you a bit because I've got Mr. Thompson coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll be talking drought and precipitation levels in the Caribbean. We'll talk that coming at 8 o'clock. But listen to this, yeah? Livingston, I hope you're there and I hope you're listening. Last night, it was last night, yeah. Well, late afternoon. Late afternoon? Yeah, late afternoon, early evening, kinda. Around about before 6 o'clock, that kind of time around there. Yeah. I listened to a gentleman, and what he was saying is exactly what Cammy just said. And he was saying, Andre, this young man cannot convince me that he's a supporter of marijuana. So I'm like, which young man are you talking about? He said a young lawyer man, the leader of the Congress. He can't. I said, well, why would you say something like that? He said, Andre, I know the man. And I've never heard him or anybody in his circle represent anyone that has an issue with marijuana. He says, Andre, you know me. And you know I don't do it anymore, but you know that I used to deal with weed in a big way. He says, and the only two lawyers, he said the only two lawyers that would have anything to do with the weed and anything to do with me and will be there all the time will be Anselm Clouden and Peter David. He says, as a matter of fact, when Peter was in Canada as a lawyer, I was in Canada too, and Peter was my lawyer. He says, so I know that Peter is not joking about this thing. He says, and for what the amount of noise that Clouden has made about this thing, I know that he ain't joking about it. You see, Andre, ganja people does not accept people just like that. You can't just jump up and say, hey, I'm supporting weed and expect ganja man to support you. Ganja man go watch you and do so and say, why are you supporting weed? Where you come from? He said, Andre, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You have to show. I said, well, he's showing because he's saying that he would legalize it. He said, no, Andre, that is not showing. That is showing off. I said, what? He said, yeah, he's showing off. Because he feel he go trick ganja man. He said, Andre, not Rasta man. Because you see, I'm not a Rasta. He said, he feel he go trick ganja man. But he can't trick me, and he can't trick my ganja brethren and them. I'm like, okay, fine. Let me leave that day, brethren. He said, yeah, let me leave that day. He said, but Andre, when you get an opportunity and you meet him, tell him, don't try that. Peter David and Anselm Clouden is who we believe in, not him, because he was never there for us. So I say, okay, fine, good, brethren, you all right. You on your own, you could handle your business. I know that.
To all my all right.
So Livingston Lewis, you wanted a little bit of politics there this morning. You got it, I hope. We've got a caller though. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm all right, sir.
Yeah, in relation to that statement that came on my phone about Dick wanting to legalize marijuana and so on, I believe that that statement is very reckless because, in my opinion, to legalize marijuana, I have a lot of things that should go with it. I remember being in Carlton Home in 2020, 2002, somewhere around there. And my brother, there's some young fellas that came in Carlton Home there. And they trip off because of the use of marijuana. You understand? So it's a thing you have to tread very carefully with. You understand? Because we have a young population and we have to have things in place for the spill off of the negative effect of marijuana. You understand? I think what Peter David is doing is the right thing. You go step by step. You don't come and tell me that marijuana is not like cocoa. It's not chocolate you're making. You understand? It's a mind-altering substance. You understand? And these politicians and them I want to be politicians have to tread carefully because people listening to them. You understand? So I think that statement was very reckless, and I feel you have to be careful about statements making. Have a good morning, brother.
You too, my brother. Take care. Very reckless, and be careful. I'm not an advisor. I'll just speak to what people do. But I remember coming up to the 2008 elections. And think about it, friends. A promise was made to the Grenadian elderly. a promise was made to the Grenadian elderly. As a matter of fact, that promise was made in the campaign for the National Democratic Congress. They made that promise in their campaign. A promise indicating that they will increase the public assistance. And remember, I said public assistance. This thing is not pension. Some of us think that it is pension. It is public assistance. That is simply meaning the government is assisting you, not ensuring, but in assisting you. With the little that you have, they're giving you something more to assist in your continuance, if you were to put it that way. Making it a little bit more easy for you to do things. Now, in 2008, that was made, And you know what happened? That promise never came through. As a matter of fact, it's only about a month or two ago that the government of Grenada they didn't just see the need, they saw the need a long time ago, but they didn't have the funds, the resources to do it. So it's only a couple months ago. Well, a month or so, December. That is when they could have put their hands on the funds and know exactly where it is going to continue to come from. They're able to increase it from 300 to 450. The government of Grenada, the NNP government of Grenada, they've just done that. But that promise was made before, and it wasn't done. This ganja thing is a promise again. Think. All right. Stop it, Andre. So I hope, I try to please most people. I can't please everybody. So Livingston Lewis, I hope the little politics was good enough for you this morning. And let us rehash this announcement. Based on what I've been told, it seems like the agricultural office, which is located at Piti Bakai, will be closed as they organize relocation. That is what, can somebody help me with that? Because I sent a message and I've not received a reply to that message as yet. It's kind of strange not receiving a reply to that particular message. But maybe I can ask Mr. Thompson about that when I get him in a couple of minutes. Don't you think? Yeah. So we're going to take a commercial break. Okay. Why is my phone ringing and nobody's answering? All right. So let's get rid of that. We're going to take a commercial break and then we're going to come with, we should by that time, by the end of the commercial break, we should be having Mr. Thompson online. Stay with us.
Really gets it clean. Get with the Ozone family line of products. Ozone liquid laundry detergent. Perfect for your semi or fully automatic washing machines. Yet suitable for your hand wash. Soft on your hands. Ozone Disinfectant Cleaner. It's the most powerful disinfectant and cleaner with a long-lasting fresh scent. Tackles every job around the house or office. Ozone detergent powder and ultra soft fabric softener gets your clothes clean with a natural freshness. Keeps your colors bright. Choose from the wonderful scents: soft flower, ocean breeze, and the new aloe vera. Keep your kitchen sparkling clean with the Ozone dishwashing liquid, Ozone sponges, and cleaning cloth. Ozone toilet bowl cleaner removes lime scale and kills germs while giving your toilet a refreshing scent. Ozone really gets it clean. Marketed and distributed by Calico, Frequente St. George's, and are available at shops and supermarkets nationwide.
Now more than ever, Flow is working hard to keep you connected to the things that matter most: your family, your work, and your favorite entertainment. We are also providing Flow Study free of charge so students can stay connected and up to date with their schoolwork. And because your safety is our highest priority, you can manage your account from the safety of your own home through the MyFlow app. We are here for you, keeping you connected.
Dear customer, please help us limit the potential impact of COVID-19. If you have cold, flu, or COVID-19 symptoms, please postpone your visit to Grenlec. We recommend using online banking to make payments, available through Co-op Bank, Republic Bank, and FCIB. You can also use check drop boxes at each of our locations. For bill balances and other information, call 237. For additional support, email customersupport@grenlec.com.
M&M Hardware Limited, Hope St. Andrew and Dusty Highway, St. George. Shop conveniently for all your building materials, including plumbing, electrical, lumber, cement, steel, and much more. We manufacture roofing sheets available in 11 colors, aluminum windows, doors, insect screens, and hurricane shutters. Installation services are available for all our manufactured products. Our opening hours are Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. M&M Hardware Limited. Come on in and experience our affordable prices, or call us 444-6757 or 440-6757 Dusty Highway. Email us at info@mahonhardware.com or mnmdusty@mahonhardware.com. M&M Hardware, foundation to roof. Let's build together.
Who wants to save 30%? Everybody! Now more than ever, Flow understands the need to make your dollar stretch. Our new bundles can help you save 30% off your current bill. Plus, get a free speed upgrade on your in-home internet. Simply add your mobile to your current home services account and save 30%. It's easy. Sign up now and save. All on the most reliable fixed and mobile network on island. Visit a Flow store or call us at 1-800-804-2994 for more information. Flow, it only gets better. Terms and conditions apply.
The Housing Authority offers products that people can choose from, products that people can access, and I think anyone looking to build, just call the Housing Authority of Grenada. The service was superb. Every step of the way, they collaborated with the owner, they collaborated with the builder. The builder himself was really good. For what I've seen them do, I have to say that from buildings they have done in the past to where they are now, they have come up to speed with modern trends, modern designs, and I think I will advise anybody.
All right, partner, me and sitting home. I go.
It's real. It's 91.9, 91.5, www.drealfmgrenada.com. The time has now moved to, let's make it 5 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour. Well, I did promise you that by the time I came back, I will have for you Mr. Trevor Thompson, who is, let's get it correct, right? He's a land use officer at the Ministry for Health. That is what I knew. But since then, I believe that his portfolio has changed somewhat. So the best thing to do is to speak directly to Mr. Thompson and to inquire about his present portfolio. Mr. Trevor Thompson, hold on there. I get to you in a moment. I think I already see him up on the stream. So a couple of things I need to do, which is this one. And good morning, Mr. Thompson. And how are you doing today, sir? Your microphone is on mute.
Okay, sorry. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Donald. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. So let's get your portfolio right, because I never like to get people's portfolio wrong. That's a travesty.
Okay, so presently I'm the acting chief agricultural officer for the Ministry of Agricultural Lands and forestry.
All right. So, what does the chief agricultural officer do? If you ask me what the chief medical officer does, I can tell you. You know, he oversees things at the hospital and health issues in Grenada. What do you do?
Well, the portfolio is more of a technical nature, meaning you give oversight to the technical operations of the ministry. So all of the heads of the technical units, for example, extension agronomy, pest management, livestock, etc. They form what I consider to be the core sort of management team with myself at the helm to direct the operation of the ministry.
All right. And how long have you been working with the Ministry for Agriculture, sir?
It's a little bit over 37, going on 38 years.
All right. So if you can just drift a little bit to your right, and we'll have a perfect shot of you. If you can drift a little bit to your right. That's wonderful right there. Beautiful. Right. Now you look handsome. All right. So if I started an interview with you, I've started an interview with you this morning, and if I did not ask you about your trip to Scotland, it was.
Glasgow.
If I didn't ask you about your trip to Glasgow, then people are looking at me and say, "What kind of guy is this? He has the man here, the man who been to Glasgow, the man who, spearheaded the thing to Glasgow, and he's not asking him a question." Tell us what really happened at Glasgow. Bring it down to our level so we could understand it.
For me, Glasgow was one of the most, I would say, intense negotiations that we've had in a very, very long time. And that's focusing on climate change, because there we had the opportunity to really make some changes and to make some decisions that we could have had some really good impacts on reducing the negative impacts of climate change. All of us agree that the climate is changing, right? We've seen it, we've experienced it, and we all can agree that a lot of the reasons why it's changing is because of human activity, right? A lot of things that we do. We want air conditions in our homes running 20 and because of that we need to have power, and we need to generate more power, because the more air conditioned units people are put in their homes is the more power Grenlec needs to provide. Of course, we have a significant increase in number of vehicles. They also use fossil fuel, gasoline and diesel. Even the weed eaters, the engines on the boats, etc. All of those things, we need to make decisions as to how we will improve on the technology to bring about some transformation and to also reduce the negative impacts of climate change. At Glasgow, I would say, led by the team was led by Senator Steele, who played a very, very significant role in the negotiation. We were that close to coming to a good conclusion on all areas: loss and damage, the just transition. There were good decisions on agriculture, on finance, etc. But two countries, the text. Normally, when you go to the negotiation, you deal with a document, what we call a text, meaning it's all words. It's all words, but words are significant. Saying will and shall is two different things in our negotiations, and so it came down to two countries saying that they really couldn't give up coal, using coal to help with their manufacturing, etc., electricity generation for manufacturing, etc., because they consider themselves to be developing countries, and that in effect affected the final outcome. The second one is the issue of loss and damage, meaning we're saying that a lot of the impacts that we as small island developing states are feeling is not because of what we have done. It is because of what others have done to bring their economies to where it is today, right? And because of that, they have a responsibility to compensate for the countries who are feeling the impacts of climate change so that they could make that adjustment and in terms of water security, reducing coastal erosions, etc. The developed countries didn't believe that they couldn't accept that. So that was one of the things that the decision that we were really hoping for. And then the one of I think the most important for us, 1.5 to stay alive, is that we wanted a firm decision that all countries would adhere to decisions, would make decisions that will ensure that the climate really does not increase in its temperature more than 1.5 degree. Right. Right now, when they look at all the data, the climate data, it is showing that we're heading for somewhere around 2.5, 2.7 degrees. If we continue to burn the amount of coal, we continue to do all the things that we do normally. So we wanted countries to make decisions. So that's why Grenada developed what we call a national determined contribution, meaning we agree to do certain things to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases we're reducing. And for example, address waste, right? Increase reforestry area under forestry. Looking at the issue of transport and how we're going to move into more renewable energy vehicles, meaning electric vehicles, etc. Using solar power, expanding the amount of buildings and houses and businesses using renewable energy, solar or wind power, etc. We have made that decision to reduce ours by 2030, I think by 30%, right? So the government has to make policy decisions. It may mean losing some revenue on the port, etc. Because we will not maybe give concessions to people who want to bring in electric vehicles, etc. But we are willing to make that sacrifice so that we could. But a lot of countries still struggling with those kinds of decisions. So that was something that we couldn't act. That was not. We wanted it in the text, in the agreement that was signed by all countries, endorsed by all countries. It is not.
All right. So the big question here is then you've told me everything that did not happen. What happened? Yeah. What should we be proud of? What happened? What took place?
Well,
outside of you having a great time.
No, this was one of the most difficult because of the COVID thing. You have to do a test every day. Every day this thing has to go up into your nose, your both nostrils, etc. before you could enter the venue to start your negotiations.
Wow.
Right? It's cold. You have to stand in line sometimes hours to get in because your social distancing and meaning people, it takes a lot more time. So you have to leave home a lot more earlier. If you have to travel to get there. It was just a difficult meeting. Long days. Sometimes you in the last closing days, some people spend the entire time, the whole night, the whole day and whole night at the negotiation because of our size. We don't have the human capacity to be in every room at the same time. So we have to. That's why we call ourselves the Alliance of Small Island Development States, where we join together so we have representation. We could have people participating in the discussions, in the negotiation, in all the different rooms. But it means that the US become the 200 persons. Grenada only had 5, So and they will rotate people in the seat behind the flag, behind the United States flag. So we can't afford to leave the room while they could change people. So but for national interest, we enjoy that. So it's not a joyride. It's difficult. It's you expose, so many of our people got COVID, etc. there. So it was not as a piece of cake as people seem to think. It's extremely difficult, long hours, a lot of reading and studying of documents so you could contribute and make valuable impacts. Plus, we have our other national interests to follow.
Yeah.
Bilateral discussions, looking for financial support from countries, etc., looking for projects, which takes a lot of our time, and also then sharing on what we are doing, selling the country and what we are doing so that the people who are sitting there who are from funding agencies will say, yes, I want to support what Grenada is doing and come on board. Establishing relationships. 90% of what Grenada gets is because of the relationships we have established with delegates from other countries. It's not because people sit in an office and say, oh, I want to help Grenada. It's because of the relationship we establish with these people, the presentation we make saying that our country needs this support because we are doing X and Y and Z, and we need this additional support to get there.
So you were going to tell us a couple of the things that came out there positively, because we understand a lot of the things that did not, really cross the threshold. What are some of the positives that came out of Glasgow?
One, I think, is the issue of we were able to get a lot of financial support for small island developing states to do a lot of what I would call adaptation and mitigation work. So, for example, in area of forestry, there is significant financial contribution going to come to help us support improving our forestry deliverables. The issue of agriculture, there's going to be money made available for agriculture to help countries transition, and adapt in the agriculture sector. Land use is an area that we see significant financial support is going to be coming in terms of how we manage the land itself, meaning soil. Not just, remember, land is not what the land is. The foundation of land is soil, and if we don't manage the soil, we will have no land. So we have to manage that, and of course, the issue of the NDC, National Determined Contributions. We're going to be getting some assistance for that. There's going to be additional resources. We in fact, we negotiated to make the process of application for financing a lot more easier. So we got a lot of support for that, and we got a decision for that. So I think going forward, we would see instead of the country sometimes having to invest $1 million just to prepare a proposal to submit for funding, it's going to be it's going to be simplified so that we could really access those resources in a easier manner. Of course, the issue of capacity building, there's going to be substantial support coming for capacity building. The challenge oftentimes is that when these things are advertised, Grenadians do not apply. And even though we do a lot of promotions, online, radio, television programs, etc., when the call for applications come, the community organizations, the NGOs, and sometimes the individuals who can go and study and come back and help to build the country, they do not apply. Or if they apply, sometimes they don't come back. And that's not a challenge. But there is going to be substantial funding available for capacity building, to build up the human resource of the country, to be able to adapt. To be able to if we're going to be going to renewable energy, solar, etc., people need to know how to maintain and operate and manage those systems. You need to build the capacity in that. There need to be the transfer of the knowledge to us, right? We don't want to having to import somebody from whichever developed country to come here and install a solar power system on a house, or to maintain it, or to manage, etc. That capacity has to reside right here in Grenada. But a lot of times our people are not taking up the opportunities.
Why do you think that is so?
Well, sometimes I think people see the challenge and not the opportunity. You have to. We see the challenge. Oh, I need to think. Will I succeed? Will I be able to? Will I get through? Man, it is designed for us. The programs are designed for small island developing states. So the Pacific, etc., are rushing ahead. And we are sometimes left behind because we're not sending the flow of people, who should participate, etc. And that is not, and I want to clearly see that is not because at the political level there is not support. There is clear support for that at the political level. But sometimes, man, just hesitancy, and by the time you get in, you decide to do it, the opportunity is gone. You have to be, once it comes, you have to be aggressive.
Do you think it is a possibility that we need to start blaming ourselves because we do not let people know in time, and we do not educate the populace, or that section of the populace who can get involved in that? We do not let them know in time, and we do not educate them enough as to what the challenge is. Do you think that can be a problem?
Well, I would say, Andrew, that that problem doesn't only reside in terms of people accepting the offers to apply for training, etc. We see it also with the issue of qualified Grenadians not taking up opportunities to become consultants, to work with organizations like the United, like UNDP, etc. Some of them find the process is a little bit cumbersome, and difficult to, you have to go online, you have to follow the application forms, etc., and send it. And so some people don't want to take the time to sit at a computer for 45 minutes and complete an application, So these are and that is one of the challenges I have seen, that many people will say to them, why you don't go and register? Once you do it once, you're in the system, you're in the database. But I don't have time for that, man. This thing too difficult, and that's some of the excuses here.
But if you can't do the application, Thompson, how the hell are you going to be able to do the job?
Exactly.
Because if you can't sit down 45 minutes at a computer to complete an application, then how are you going to sit down for 2 hours at the computer to do the job?
They do the job, yeah. So
it means that probably we have a problem here with attention span. The attention span of our people is too small, too short.
Well, that could be one of the reasons. Some people might be comfortable. Maybe some parents are taking very good care of their educated sons and daughters. They have degrees, etc., and they get an opportunity maybe to specialize now, in a specific area. When I started working, my first job was working as a yard boy, taking care of a lawn, a homeowner's lawn, etc., in one of the wealthier areas, But that is not the end of the story, So some people become very comfortable with what they're doing, and some people, they're home, they're getting a tea, as we say in Greda, tea, breakfast and dinner. They're getting money when they want to go and hang. But we need to be a little bit more outgoing, more global vision. We need to have a change in our worldview, I would say, because that, to me, that is one of the limitations. Sometimes we could have very tunnel vision, very localized, internalized vision. We don't see in the big picture. Once you get into these systems, you get the knowledge, the education. You have a global audience there for you. You could go and work anywhere in the world. So we've had some Canadians who have done that, but we also are trying to push some of our young qualified people to get into those areas. Go online, complete the application. Everything is online now, and take a change, take a risk. I would say, step out by faith into a new area, a new skill. You will do it because all of the resources is there to help you to succeed. These programs are designed to help you to succeed. They're not designed to fail you. And
go ahead.
And if you've completed a degree already or an associate degree, you can do it.
Well, I will say this to you. I didn't invite you here this morning to talk motivation. Let us go with the substantive topic for this morning. Let's move away from Glasgow a bit. And let's speak to... Well, I had a problem this morning when I went and I was speaking to people about what we were going to do this morning. And it says, and I'm going to go back to the top of it and read what it says here. And it says here... precipitation. I'm like, oh, well, just tell the people
rainfall.
I'm like, precipitation, just tell them rain. Simplify the thing. Now, why are you making this thing so difficult? In any event, we spoke climate change, and we're going to bring it home. We're going to bring it home because it is affecting us, and there are different things happening. And you have been speaking on different mediums over the past couple of weeks, couple of months, whatever, as it relates to precipitation, rainfall, and drought in our neck of the woods. There was a study that I believe, there was some information that was done that is from December through to February.
And then
but first, let me ask, what was it like? Compare and contrast. What was it like at the beginning of the term before December as it relates to the beginning of this term now?
Okay. Well, if you could remember, November was a very, very dry month. In fact, the ministry, we were at the point of having to start distributing some plants to farmers and we had to put it on hold because the end of October into November was extremely dry, right? And so we were very concerned about the reduced rainfall. Normally, November is the wettest month, of the year. If you look at the historical data, in some parts you get 25, 30 inches of rain. This year it was substantially below normal. But when we looked at the outlook, it says that we're going to be having a wet dry season, and I mean the prediction is correct. Almost every day in January we have had rain falling. Compared to last year or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, this is a very wet beginning of the dry season. And the prediction is saying that we're going to be getting about 40% above the normal. So, for example, if Point Selling is to get in January, let's say 2 inches of rainfall, it means that we're going to be getting a little bit over 3 inches in this month, which in farming, in the farming context, that's a substantial amount of rain, right? If you're a farmer who doesn't have an irrigation system, it means that you can now take the risk of planting some crops that you would never have done in January, because you know by the time it reaches a stage of maturity in February, end of February going into March, based on what type of crop, if it's a 3 month or a 4 month thing, you would have problems with water, and you would run the risk of losing your crop. Now, for this year, this is a very good planting season for farmers who don't have irrigation at all. You can cultivate your cabbages, your lettuce, your sweet peppers, your watermelon, cantaloupe, etc. And we expect to get that rainfall up to March. Now, from March going back, there's going to be a change. Of course, that's the optimum time of the dry season. April is normally the wettest month of the year, right? So we're going to see a reduction now in the rainfall going forward, and we're hoping that we will not see a very dry wet season because that's one of the climate impacts, right? This completely changing of the season. Normally you have a clearly defined wet season and a clearly defined dry season. We've seen that sometimes that this is the season appear to be confused, and it's all because of course climate and,
change.
The impacts of a lot of the human activities.
The conditions in the Atlantic is what influences our climate. It is what brings us the rain and so on. Explain to us La Nina and El Nino and what that means in layman terms, in terms of rainfall.
Well, I think basically what it means is that the oscillation, the cloud movement in those and the sea surface temperatures in those in the Atlantic, right, are impacted by a number of different conditions. Of course, cloud cover, the Sahara dust, the movement of pollution, meaning the waste from factories, etc., over that area, right? What normally happens is that if you have strong winds blowing, it will affect the sea surface temperature and the oscillation, the cloud movement in those areas, right? If however, you have, for example, what we see now is that we're having an extremely cold winter in the north. So it means that the cold air is traveling farther down. The warmer the sea surface temperature is the more chances you have for the developing of storms and hurricanes, etc. For the last year and this year we've had a very cold winter. So we believe that that has played a significant part in changing the season. So we have La Nina conditions, and then you have El Nino conditions, which what happens in the Atlantic Ocean with sea surface temperature, wind, and the wind, etc.
And the La Nina, that is expected to bring more rain than the El Nino,
El,
correct?
El Nino, yes. El Nino is normally the drier time, brings more droughts and dry, more prolonged dry periods. La Nina is when it's more wet, more moist. You have more moist conditions.
You speak of drought, sir, and I'm very careful when I mention the word drought. What is a drought?
Well, a drought is basically a reduction in the amount of precipitation that is received, and there are different stages of drought, right? So, for example, you have a drought where your rainfall is reduced, but it doesn't impact, let's say, the streams, the rivers, etc. That's one stage. If it begins to impact crops and the flow in the river, then you go to another stage. When another stage of the drought. So there are normally about 3 or 4 stages before you actually declare a drought. So you would have a precipitation drought, then you would have a drought that where you have reduced stream flow in the rivers, etc. That's when you will move to stage 2, and stage 3 is when you have a totally lack of any rainfall, a moisture in the soil, etc. And that's when we would begin to alert the public that, listen, what you need to change your attitude, your practices, because now we've seen there's going to that impact is going to result in reduce water available for human consumption, for sanitation, etc. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, sir.
Because remember, the water is stored in the soil, right? And it is released slowly over time. But we also depend on that rain to fall to keep that process going. If there's a break in that cycle, then it means that it obviously is going to have an impact on available moisture in the soil, both for crops and for going into the streams and rivers, and eventually into what goes into the dams and into our homes. So normally a drought is what we call a creeping disaster, because it doesn't happen like let's say like a bushfire or a hurricane and it's gone. Drought, it creeps up on you, and it takes a very, very, very long time to recover from. In fact, it is one of the worst disasters that can strike any nation. As you've seen, we've known from the 1980s what happened in Ethiopia, etc., when millions died because of a drought. We've seen it in Madagascar. No, a small island state, but in the southern part of it, there's a severe drought, and people are dying for a lack of food, because the rain has stopped, and it is impacting soil conditions, meaning you can't grow and produce your crops that you need.
We cannot prevent a drought, but we can do things that will cause us to reduce the impact. What are some of the things that can be done in relation to that?
Well, one of the things is we have to try and keep all of our soils as covered as much as possible, meaning areas that are designated as forest areas should remain as forest, because that plays a significant role in the water cycle, and also in keeping the land covered so that we don't have the direct sunlight causing evapotranspiration, meaning removing the rainfall, removing water from the soil. That water needs to go into the soil and then flow into the streams. The issue of what we save today is what we will have to use tomorrow. So conservation in the home, water saving devices. If it's not brown, don't flush it down. You don't have to flush a toilet. A toilet uses how much gallons? A gallon of water every time you flush it. 2 gallons. Some toilet, and you don't need to flush it all every time you use it if you just to urinate, etc. Some of the things we need to look at seriously is the reduction in the amount of green spaces and the increase in what we call hard surfaces. If there's concrete there, that means that the water that used to go into the soil cannot get in there anymore. it runs off and goes straight into the sea. And we are already a small island. When rain falls, sometimes in less than half an hour, it's in the ocean. So we have to ensure that as much of our moisture that we receive, or rainfall we receive, goes into the soil, because that is what will come out over the weeks and months and years and flows into the river. And that keeps the environment healthy, keeps the environment cool, etc. The rivers play a significant role in keeping your community cool, but people don't even pay attention to that. They play a significant role in providing food, and vegetables and fruits, etc. We don't pay attention to that. Some people they see the river as a dumping ground, the old fridge, old television, everything that is not that is old and not for use in the home. We want to dump it in the river, even dead animals, etc. That in itself kills the aquatic life that ensures that we have a healthy environment.
So the question here is, what is the authorities, and by the authorities I mean yourself, and do we go as far as the central government? What are you doing so as to have continuous information to Grenadians as it relates to practices of what may come? So doing the right things, doing good things. You spoke of dumping the fridges and the televisions and the dead animals. Do we have continuous information on radio, on television, on social media? These are practices that should not be done. I see that there's the Ministry of Health, or the Environment. They're doing some work at the Perseverance Point, which gives one the impression that, okay, fine, something's being done. But are we educating? Do we have an education plan as it relates to our citizens?
Well, I would say it's a collaborative effort. We don't have what I would call, let's say, a centralized unit that's focusing on it, but we have a collab. So solid waste has to play a role, right? Of course, they do a lot of PR promotions, etc. Then you have the Ministry of Environment does its part. You have agriculture and the extension service, etc. plays their role. You have the government information service playing its role in that. We have a lot of programs that the staff in the government ministries, etc., do on those issues. We put adverts and promotions and articles, etc., in the newspapers, etc. We have Facebook pages, etc. People like sensationalism, if somebody gets arrested for littering, that's a big issue. But if somebody takes the time to clean up the environment, etc., that's not news. If we struggle, like CYE and etc., they have where they do beach cleanup, etc., and they struggle to get volunteers to participate in that, to help come out and clean up your environment and your community, because there is what I would call a sort of apathy in the society now that people think the government should take care of everything, even cleaning in front of your yard, etc. In New York, you when the snow falls, you better go out and clean it, because if somebody falls and that snow in front of your yard, you're gonna get a lawsuit. Here in Grenada, we want the government to come and clean it, and if the government come and clean in front of our yards, cut the bush, etc., we call in and cussing on the radio and the television. So you understand? You see the state of play now, where we as citizens has to take responsibility. Government is doing all it can to impose, to pass legislation, regulations, etc. But people sometimes don't have no respect. You still see people travel on the bus and throw their garbage, and the driver doesn't stop and say to you, come off and go and pick it up, or else I'll leave you right here. You understand? Because he stands the risk of being charged based on the regulations, because the litter came from his moving vehicle. But so those are the kind of challenges we face in society that people have to begin to own false sense of ownership. This island belongs to me. I have a right to protect it. I don't have to be a freedom fighter to be a patriot. I could be a patriot in my simple doing my civic duty to protect my environment, to keep it clean and healthy.
I understand the whole aspect of ownership here, Mr. Thompson. I understand that totally. But we are at a position right now and we do not own. And we do not want to own. This is not something that we want to own. And if the legislation is there so that the driver can be charged, then charge the driver. Because there are instances with police officers sitting or health officials sitting on a bus and the garbage goes out the window and they say nothing. The driver should be charged. And if the driver is charged, I bet it don't happen again. But we have the legislation in place, Mr. Thompson. There are a lot of laws and a lot of rules in place, and we do nothing. So as a result, hey, it's all man for himself, and the devil take the last man.
But I think the government, with regards to the issue of the natural resources and its protection, meaning land, water, etc., the environment. Government is doing its part. They've just in October, November approved the Grenada land policy, land management policy, and that in itself has a whole list of actions, etc., that has to be taken to ensure that we preserve land for present and future generation. We have planned a communication strategy and outreach that's going to be rolled out later on in the year, in sensitizing the public as to what this policy contains, what is going to be the impact upon you as a landowner, what are going to be your responsibilities, etc. The policy is designed to look at land management. It's not a land zoning policy as people like to think about. Oh, you could zone this here and zone that here, and that should be done here and that should be done here. When you have only 78,000 acres and 90% of it is private lands, that's a major challenge, right? So what the policy is designed to look at is, it's the similar policy that has been done in the British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, New Zealand, etc., and it works and is working. It's to say that, listen, okay, you own this tract of land here, you want to develop it. These are the conditions you have to meet if you want to develop it, right? If it's beachfront property, these are the conditions you have to meet to develop that property, because we have to look at your neighbors and we have to also look at the impacts on present and future generations of what you're going to do. And we know that there are people who are arrogant who figure, this is my land, you can't tell me what to do, but the law mandates that you have to develop come with a management plan, right? If what you're going to do is going to destroy the mangroves and you're going to impact on your neighbors, etc., then you have a challenge. If you want to spend $10 million to put in the proper facilities, etc., to preserve your neighbors and preserve the land from erosion, etc., then go ahead. But I know the determinant factor here is oftentimes cost, because people see they could just take a machine and drive it and push down everything. But after you've done that, you have the law is going to say you have a responsibility to restore it to even a better position. And that in itself will cost you a substantial sum. And whether you're private homeowner or a big developer, there's no discrimination with the application of the rules.
Mr. Thompson, the laws are there, as I just said, they're not being enforced. We have not heard, or I have not heard of anyone who has been charged within the past, I wouldn't say 100 years because I ain't that old, but within the past 20 years, I've never heard of anybody being charged.
There have been cases. There have been things where people have been penalized. There have been a lot of instances where developments have been rejected. I mean, we don't make a noise over that, etc. Where people have submitted applications and say, no, that can't pass, that can't fly. Where they have applied to subdivide lands and say, no, this is prime agricultural lands, for mechanized farming. Can't be converted, cannot, and it shall not be changed, because we have a responsibility to ensure that there are some lands for food security. We can't, COVID has teach us, we can't depend on any other country to feed us in a time of crisis. We have to keep lands under agricultural crops, food crops in particular, tree crops, fruits, etc., so that we can keep our population healthy and keep our supplying ourselves with the basics, I would call it basics for survival. Now, if you look at, there are a lot of countries in this world who, for example, Malaysia could buy rice cheaper from Vietnam than they could produce, but they have made a strategic decision that they will produce 50% of all the rice consumed in their country, because they dare not leave, you understand, the food security of their country to another nation. And we have to, that's the same policy and mentality we have. Grenada has to produce a certain quantity of food to guarantee, if there's a lockdown, a crisis, the ships can't move, etc., that we don't, we are an island, are we going to starve or to death here? No, we should have enough breadfruit, enough yams, sweet potatoes, tania, arrows, etc., to feed the population for 3 to 4 or 5 months. Corn, etc. We should have those things, and we are speedily working to guarantee that.
Do you think we'll get there? Do you think we'll get there? And when?
I believe so. I believe we'll get there. Based on the plans that the technical staff in the ministry is working on, in terms of what we prioritizing as the focus for the ministry in terms of production and expanding the acreages, etc. I believe we will get so. So, for example, we have done substantial work in rehabilitating Granby Estate. We are cultivating tania, sweet potatoes, etc. It troubles me, and I want to make this point. It troubles me that when government, in the past, government had many estates, and you never heard a farmer complain that government is competing with them, etc. Right? Cocoa, nutmeg was produced on those estates. Food crops in abundance was with peas, pigeon peas, and yams and things was produced on estate. But these days, you're hearing, when government seeks to do these things, you're hearing people saying, oh, government should not be involved in that, it's competing. Competing what? We can't even produce enough to export, but we're talking about competing. And we have to change that these old arguments, selfish, I call it selfish, self-centered arguments, because they design to keep production small and prices high. We have to reach a stage where the person with the lowest income can afford to buy vegetables and food crops in the market and feel comfortable that they're not being exploited. Because I've come to realize that a lot of times too, and I just want to make this final point, the person who gets the smallest sum out of the value that you see in the market is the farmer. He gets the least out of all of these high prices you see happening here. But he gets blamed that, oh, the farmer greedy. The farmer gets to them $3 is sold in the market. Upon he gets maybe 50 cents. And that's way below his cost of production. So we have to change this old mindset and these old bad perceptions, these negative things that we bash the farmer a lot of times, and sometimes they're not to blame. It might be the greed of some other person, but not the farmer, And a change in perception and mindset is one of the challenges the ministry has with regards to agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone. It's not a statement of fallacy of this nation. When you look at the census, he said 12,000. There are 12,000 farmers. If you multiply that by 4, right, that means about 50,000 Grenadians somehow depends on agriculture in some way. It means, therefore, that a significant percent of the population is involved in some and impacted by agriculture, just at the farm level. So but however, we don't pay any significant attention to that. The other fact I want to make is that all of us, Andrew, every Grenadian, whatever status you are, whether it's your grandfather or your great-great-grandfather, they were involved in agriculture. And they I would say that they work extremely hard to send us to school, to educate us, etc. And sometimes after we've gotten our education and we've gone into different career fields, we cost agriculture. We pull it down. We don't even set up a program. We may have the opportunity to set up a program to help the sector, and we don't want to have nothing to do with agriculture. And that's a shame, really. You know, all of us, some way, somehow in our history, whatever color or race, etc., you may be in this, who lives in this country, who's a citizen, your parents or grandparents bust their tail in agriculture to bring us where we are today. And we should never abandon it.
When you spoke of the farmer getting the smallest bite of the cherry and other statements, my good friend BJ is in the studio, and he smiled because he always speaks to that, and he always speaks to the fact that fruits and vegetables, he believes, is too expensive and we need to produce more in Grenada. He's a farmer. He said we need to produce more so as to drive the price down, because it cannot be that you go into the market and you're going to buy a cabbage and you're going to spend $10 for the cabbage. Then what else can you buy after you buy the cabbage? You know, and interestingly, there's a farmer who phoned early this morning, and because he usually calls when he has pigeon peas for sale, and he called to tell me that, hey, he has peas, and the peas, of course, is $10 a pound. And he said the peas sale is going pretty slow. And I said to him, I said I could understand that, because a pound of lentil will cost less than that. So too the pound of split peas costs less than that. And you probably could use half pound of that pound that you buy and get a good meal for the family. As opposed to the pigeon peas, you can't use half pound. You have to use the whole pound, and then it probably wouldn't yield if you have a 5-member family. So again, what you said there, Mr. Thompson, is very, very instructive in that we have to produce more. We are not producing enough, and therefore the prices are going to kill us.
And it doesn't mean that the farmer is making it, that the farmer or those who selling is making more money. It's small volume, so you're barely breaking even. You know,
because the inputs are going to kill you. The cost of the inputs are going to kill you. So you really and truly need to, do it on a bigger scale. But then again, the question begs to be asked: do we have the lands?
Well, I mean, we can get into what I would call more intensive agriculture. I mean, for vegetables and things, that's easy. You could use hydroponics for a lot of those. You could improve on varieties, etc. For yam, sweet potato, dashing, etc. You need. I think what is required is more technical advice and support be given to the farmers to help them overcome some of the challenges they have. Some of them may be doing some practices that they need to change or adapt, etc. That would help. I think availability of planting material is also a challenge. You could only plant so much based on the planting material you have, and that is one of the challenge. So sometimes the farmer has to make a deliberate decision: am I going to sell this, or am I going to keep this? For replanting, and he has a mortgage to pay. He has children to send to school. You understand? He may have somebody in the family sick. So, and those are the challenges that the farmer faces. And then the other issue is the financing is not there. The easy access to finance, is not there. So everything he does is almost on a cash basis. So he has that challenge. So we have to look at how we will increase and make available more planting material. And I think we've started to discuss that. We are rigorously pursuing, the option of using tissue culture and seeking to reestablish our tissue culture lab to help with that, so we could provide more planting material, make it more available to the farmers. And I think that will help in a substantial way. But the final point I want to make on that is the issue of a lack of data. We could only make good decisions and recommendations if we have the information. And that's one of the things that the ministry is going to seriously implement, that it is incumbent upon officers to collect data when you go to the field, so that we could have the information to make the right decisions. Right?
Go ahead, finish it.
This thing about going in the field and just you visit the farmer, you give him some information and you come. No, we want data. What is he growing? How much of it? You understand? What the stage of maturity? Understand? When he sold, what was his yield, etc. We want that information. What was his inputs and the cost of production? So we could really see if it makes sense to do some of the things we're doing, and then address what we're going to do to change that and to have a better impact.
Final question for you this morning. So it has to do with soil erosion. There seems to be a problem with soil erosion in Grenada. What can you tell us about that?
Well, two things. One of it has to do with the lack of the application of what I would call organic matter, pen manure, as we used to call it. A lot of there. How many farmers you really know now has a cattle on a pen producing organic matter so he could have put back into his farm? Very, very, very little, right? So that is one of the big challenge. And then the farmer wants to see his farm clean. He doesn't want to do any mulching, etc. So that is one of the big thing. We have to keep the soil covered, but also we have to keep it healthy. If the soil is not healthy, it will erode anyway. So keeping the soil healthy by using organic matter, keeping it covered is one of the response, and it's very, very cheap. That's not expensive to do, And then if based on where you're cultivating your crops, if it's on slopes, you must do some kind of beds and terraces, etc., and have and control your runoff. That's extremely important. So in the past, we used to have a lot of training with the extension officers, etc., showing them how to use the A-frame, etc., to advise the farmer how to do his beds, etc. We have abandoned all that to a great extent. These are practices that never die, and they have to become again very, very efficient in applying those kind of techniques to farms, to help the farmers to so that they don't lose their soil, because if he doesn't have any soil, he can't grow any crop. That's the reality.
Mr. Thompson, I thank you very, very much for talking to us this morning. And I hope this is the first of many conversations that you will have on Real FM as we continue to encourage our farmers to do better practices, I will call it, and the population in general to understand that, yes, while we need to eat local, and we need to grow local, the pricing of local needs to be affordable.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be able to share a little bit of what we're doing and what is the ministry's vision. And but of course, we need the support of the farmers and the public. It's a collaborative effort. The ministry alone can't do it, meaning that the staff in the ministry cannot do it. We need all hands to be on deck if we're really going to see the transformation that we all dream about and envision for the country and for the agricultural sector in particular.
Just let me give you this finally, sir. The ministry needs to bind more with the media. And I'm not speaking here from a Real FM perspective, but I'm speaking generally the media, so that even when you're doing things like Glasgow, take a member of the media along. It will benefit more than the ministry thinks. The member of that person can come along write stories, send back clippings, and keep the country abreast as to what is happening, outside, what our people are doing, and it will, real-time information instead of waiting. Yes, you have made so many rounds. Everybody knows Trevor Thompson at this time, the amount of rounds you have made on all the different media houses. Yes, while that is good, but it is nice to get information real time. So maybe somebody from GIS or one of the bigger entities that you can get, say, hey, this person is going to go along in something like this. Budget for that next time.
Definitely. I agree.
All right, Mr. Thompson, take care, man. Have a great day.
You too. And
all right,
BJ,
then,
take care of yourself.
Yeah, he's there. He's on his phone there. Okay, great. It's 91.9 on your dial. BJ, top of the morning to you. How you doing this morning, brother?
How you doing, boss?
I'm all right.
Happy to hear you.
Yeah, well, I had it with Mr. Thompson this morning.
Yes, good boy. Andre, he's been there for a long time. And I must say he's an ardent worker. And, I think Trevor being Chief Agricultural Officer now, acting.
Chief Agricultural Officer, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
good, Andre. He's been there a lot of years and been through the ranks, and happy to see him, in that position now. And I think he means good. Full experience.
Yeah. He means well.
Yep.
So how you doing?
I'm fine, Andre.
Yeah, well, you. It was nice to see you this morning.
Always happy to see you. I like your shirt this morning.
You like my shirt?
Yeah, it makes you look elegant.
BJ, get out of here, man. Take care of yourself. Have a great day. All right, then, good. It's 91.9. Friends, thank you so very much for being a part of the program this morning. I'll catch you again tomorrow morning with another one. This is Real FM Radio News. That's next, and then we have the police. Stay with us.
Triple N. Informative, entertaining, and first. Every hour on the hour.